This is why a lot of people are unwilling to make the sacrifice, because it's only one question. And that one question is this: is it worth it? This is the Ask Chris Johnson Show. Let's get it. Ask Chris Johnson Show. We got our first caller. Who's this? Eric?
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and take it. Jeez, phone going crazy. This is Chris.
Hey Chris, this is Eric Harris.
Hey Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, welcome to the Ask Chris Johnson Show. Let's go. What's your first question, man? Well, first, before we go to your question, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am from Sacramento. My dad, Mark Harris, is a lawyer in Sacramento and a professor. My mom is a teacher and now a college recruiter. I grew up playing sports. I grew up being involved in politics, and then now I currently work at the NAACP after I finished law school.
Wow, wow, man! I gotta say, it's impressive, man. Just hearing about the things you've done. And that's been in a wheelchair, right? For a lot of your life?
Yes, correct. So I was born with a congenital hip dislocation, so it gave me nerve damage in both of my legs. I can walk, and I actually walked until I was about 13 or 14. I found out about wheelchair basketball through kind of a weird circumstance. Well, I've been playing it ever since, and I use a wheelchair now to get around, just to help with mobility, and it's been great. It's a different way to go about things, a different way to look at things, but it's really helped me a lot, helped me get a whole bunch of opportunities.
That's awesome, man. Well, I tell you what, dude, I respect you, man, not allowing any limitations to stop you from pursuing your journey and your dreams, man. And I'm talking to a lawyer right now. So, hey, man, congratulations to you, man. Well, hit me with your questions. How can I help you?
And so my first question, I'm kind of representing the young folks. I'm only 30 years old. As a young person, how do we balance our abilities to live securely with a regular paycheck, but also expand as an entrepreneur where we're able to kind of be more hit and miss, but take some good quality chances at being entrepreneurs?
Well, look, I just turned 39 last month, so I still feel like I'm a young guy too, man. Do I still qualify as the young guys club or what?
Oh, yeah, man. You qualify like just barely.
Oh, he said just barely. I love it. That's a great question. I get that question asked a lot. I'm glad you asked that, because I've never answered on the Chris Johnson Show. So there's a lot of people that have great secure jobs and they love what they do, but they have ambitions of entrepreneurship. That idea, that entrepreneurship could be something that blesses you exponentially well over and above your current position. But the key is you don't have to risk it all. So there is some risk and there is some sacrifice. Instead of sacrificing your actual profession, here's what I recommend. Your leisure comes to a stop. From 5:30 to midnight belongs to your entrepreneurial business. On Saturday and Sunday, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., I'm working on my dream. And if all those hours, that adds up. And that accumulates, and so it gives you the ability to actually give that thing a chance with zero risk to your current business. And see, what happens is once that thing starts to grow and once it starts to mature and you start seeing the success, you come to a critical decision of like, well, do I really love what I do? Or do I really love this dream? And some people choose. Some people choose and they go after this thing that they've built that's turned into a monster. Others continue to pursue their professions, but that's a way that you can still do what you do, but that one idea, you still can pursue that, and that'll give you a lot of fullness. Because one of the biggest things, man, what I've realized is regret. There's so many people that just have great ideas and they never do anything with it. And years go by. And then what happens is they see that same idea, they see it on TV. And they were the ones that had that. And that regret, man, it's painful. I'd rather live with mistakes and failures than regrets. And so sacrifice that leisure time because it would be worth it. What's your next question?
How can we, as my generation, as millennials, kind of refocus on what everyone tells us is the most important assets in our lifetime, purchasing a home?
One of the things, I know what I know and I know what I don't know. I don't know a ton about real estate and investing, but I will say this. You know, when I bought my first house, I believe I was 25 or 24. I built equity in that house, and when I sold that was, you know, very important in my wealth development. But I mean, I look at the timing of that, right? I had no idea that it would appreciate that much, so it's difficult to provide you just sound advice on that. Here's what I will say, though. Your ability to live with your parents and stack cash. People don't talk about cash. Cash gives you options. If you continue to stack and you continue to stack your savings, like there's no rush, right? But I think it's really, really important. Whatever you save the most in your life to this date, have a goal to double that. And that feeling of that much savings puts you in a very powerful position. It gives you options. So it's, you know, whether that option is to buy that house based on the timing of the market, or if it's to invest in that business, it provides you options, and options are power. And so more so than the idea of, hey, you know, go buy a house, I would say the principles of saving and stacking are incredibly important. What's your next question?
What are your thoughts on working with and for friends and family?
You know, that's a tough one. I've seen it work really, really well, and I've seen it just be devastatingly terrible. I think the key is communication. When you're working with family members, there's a tendency to allow things to happen that in a regular working environment you would never let happen. There's a tendency of lack of communication of like, hey, this is the standard of where we want to take this thing. And if a family or friend perform under that standard, the lack of communication or the confrontation of that creates issues. I've done it one time. My brother used to work for me in my recruiting business. The communication with him prior to him being hired was this: I'm not putting a higher burden on you because you're my brother, and I'm not putting a lower burden on you because you're my brother. No matter what, we're still brothers. That was the expectation. My brother did a pretty good job at the Johnson Group, but his skill set was better suited for real estate and loans and that, and he's been in that industry for over a decade. And so it didn't work out, but we're still brothers. I still love him. And I think if that communication didn't happen, I could see that type of strain on relationships. So I disagree when people said, hey, family business doesn't work, or going into business with friends doesn't work. I totally disagree. Going in business with friends or family without communication absolutely doesn't work. But you can make it work if you set the expectations right out the gate. So I can't emphasize enough: communication, communication, communication.
Right, that's great. Thank you so much.
You got time for another couple of questions if you like.
It's not really another question, but it's kind of more of a statement for you to continue to talk about being able to give up that leisure time.
And what all that comes down to is sacrifice. This is why a lot of people are unwilling to make the sacrifice, because it's only one question. And that one question is this: is it worth it? Is the sacrifice worth it, right? Because it's like, here it is. It's like, dude, I like my life right now. There's so many people out there that are like, dude, I like my life right now. I'm pretty freaking happy. But there is some more, and there's some other things that I want, but I like going to the movies. I like, after a long day of work, coming in on my favorite spot of the couch and just chilling. I like freaking going to get a red box every Wednesday and Thursday and just relax and chill. I'm not trying to think about business. For me to pursue this, there's going to be sacrifice. And the question, is that sacrifice worth it? And that's what people grapple with when they start something and then they stop. They stop prematurely because they're still answering that question, if it's worth it. Let me answer that question for anybody out there and you on this phone about it being worth it. I had no idea about how blessed my life would become with deciding to go through with these sacrifices. It has blessed my life exponentially. Some of the hardest things to give up was coaching basketball, going to all my kids' events. Like, I didn't miss one thing. That was my leisure. Doing those type of things, I love that. Was the sacrifice worth it of giving up coaching, giving up going to every single one of my kids' events? And the answer is absolutely yes. Brother, it is worth it. If I was back to that time again where I had to ask myself if I'm willing to make that sacrifice, I would do it 1,000 times over. Right now, willing and ready. Despite how hard it's been, despite the ups and the downs, despite the trials. Because guess what? The stuff that I gave up, I have it exponentially more. I'm coaching my son again. And not only am I coaching him, I have the resources and the time to be able to travel all over the country with him. Now I have the time to go to my daughter's events and do all this stuff with my family. But now we do it at a whole nother level. And now I'm at a position of like, not just being able to bless my children, but their children's children. Now you tell me, was that a sacrifice that was worth it? Abso-freaking-lutely. So when you're asking yourself, man, like if giving up this leisure time is worth it, it's absolutely yes. Because what you got to understand, it's only temporary. You're going through that to make something better and you enjoy the journey while you're doing it. But that is the key.
The last question that just kind of popped in my head, what do you think is the best way to prepare for what's next? As you know, the law profession, for example, has changed so much over the last 30 years with the way technology has advanced and the way that people are able to get information. So what do you think is the best way to stay relevant and to stay on top of what's next?
You know what? My biggest thing is be present. I'll give you an example. The dinner table and going out to eat in restaurants is a lot different than it was 10 years ago. My family and I went to dinner at Macaroni Grill, and every single one of us had a device on the table. We still love each other and we're still giving each other attention and we're still looking up and still enjoying of the family. But this is the new way of life. And then our thing is once the food comes, phones go away. But that wasn't 5 years ago. It's like crazy. So it's like, it's being observant of that. So if that's the trend now, and that's where it's going, where is the puck going to be? And it's by being observant and present of like seeing some of those just, you know, trends of consumer behavior. It's paying attention to those types of trends and being observant and then thinking out of the box of where you think that thing's going. And so I would say that's the key. Being present and being observant. So was that helpful, man?
Man, that was awesome. You know, I told my dad, you know, that I was gonna be on your show, that I was gonna call you today. He was so excited. He hosts a radio show on 97.5 in Sacramento once a week called Family Matters, and he's just, you know, he loves doing it, and I know he'd love to have you on the show at some point if you have time.
Absolutely, man. Well, I look forward to it one day. If I can fit it in the schedule, I'll make it happen. I appreciate you being on the show, man.
Most definitely. I really appreciate you, Chris.
All right, man. Hey, have a blessed day. Take care.
All right, you too.
Man, his story's amazing, man. Been in a wheelchair since he was a kid. Just finished and graduated from law school. About to go after the bar exam. And man, he's so sharp. Listen, there's no limitations on what you can accomplish. I hope you got something out of that. Make sure you tag, share, and like this page. Thanks for watching. And this is the Ask Chris Johnson Show. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching the Ask Chris Johnson Show. If you want to be on the Ask Chris Johnson Show, go ahead and direct message me. Joel or I will get back to you as far as scheduling times. We'll see you on the next episode of the Ask Chris Johnson Show. Let's go!